Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going through how to complete this DOS attack lab. So there's kind of two parts to this that I have it broken up into. However, we are going to kind of complete both parts together in this one video. The very first thing that we're going to need to do is open up Oracle VM VirtualBox. We're going to need to get our Kali Linux machine up and running, which this is actually where we're going to host the web server. So far, you guys have created a lot of web servers using Windows Server, but you can also use Linux. On Windows, a web server is called an IIS server. In Linux, Kali Linux, it's called an Apache server. And in fact, Linux runs about 75% of the world's websites. So IIS servers are they're out there, but the majority of web-based servers are running on Linux machines. So we're going to be creating a web server on our Kali Linux machine, and then we're also going to be using our Windows 7 machine to be attacking it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Windows 7 machine booted up right here as well. Now, as these two are loading, I want to make sure, I'm going to come back here. I just want to make sure in the settings for both of these that my network is attached to bridged. So it should be for both of these things. So because we've been using bridged in other labs, but both of these are bridged for me. So, but if yours are not bridged, you'll need to shut down your virtual machine, and you'll need to shut down your virtual machine and switch that network adapter so that it's bridged. Alright, so I got my two machines loaded. Now on my Windows 7 machine, I'm going to go to computer and I'm going to go to that Z drive, and on here we have some tools, HTTP DOS tools 4.0. I'm just going to double click on this, and I'm going to drag this Switchblade 4.0 out onto the desktop of my Windows 7 machine. We're going to be using Switchblade for our DOS attack. So I got that there, that's good. I'm just going to actually pull up. We also want to, let's start the Apache web server on our Kali Linux machine here. So I need to go to Kali Linux. Let's open up the terminal here. First thing that we're going to do is I'm going to type in ifconfig, ifconfig, and I'm going to find the IP address of this machine. Mine's 10.7.61.155. Yours will of course be different. Hopefully it's different. I'm going to go to this address actually on my host machine or on my actual computer, 10.761. So I'm going to go to 10.7.61.155. I think that's correct. Let me double check. 10.7.61.155. Yeah. And I'm going to go there right now, and you'll see when I go there nothing happens. That's because I don't have a web server that's hosted at all. It says this page isn't working, which is fine. So now I'm going to come back to my Kali Linux machine. Let's close out of this. So I just want to close out of a few of these tabs. I'm going to come back to my Kali Linux machine, and I'm going to type in service Apache to start. Give this a second. Okay, so Apache, which is the web server, that's the command to get that web server up and running. So let's actually check on our host machine to see if the web server is up and running. And yes, it is. So remember, before we couldn't access anything. It just said this page cannot be accessed, and now we're accessing the default web page, and it says this works. This means that the Apache server is up and running. Okay, so now that we have our Apache server up and running, we're going to want to view the Apache status of this. So if we come in here to our machine right here, and I need to open up Firefox. And let's give Firefox a second to load. Takes a while because this is running on a virtual machine here. Close out of this, and let's go to local host/server dash status and hit enter, we can see the status. So we notice all these dots. These are open connections basically. So like all these things are just idle. Like these are all free. So we have like one person that's on this server, and that's totally fine. And if a normal person went to our website, and let's like reload the page really quick. I don't even know if that'll notice. This line right here got a little bit longer, but really it's we're pretty good. So this is saying that our web server is up and running correctly. You want the more dots you have, the better. All right, so now let's actually attack this server. So we're going to go on, we need to find, let's see, Switchblade, we need to find GUI.exe on our Windows 7 machine right here. So I'm going to open up Switchblade. I'm going to find that GUI right here. Double click on this and run. And our URL is going to be the address of our server. So the address of my server was 10.7.61.155. Okay, show headers, all this is fine, and we can go ahead and just hit run attack. Whoops, what was I supposed to do here? Alright, I think I missed one thing. I needed to make sure I need to do http://. I want all of my things to look just like this. So the slow headers, I can increase that connection still. Let's increase it to 4,000. Connection rate, change that to 10. All this looks good, and let's go ahead and hit run the attack right now. So I'm running this attack on this, and let's hop on over to my Kali Linux machine. This is what the server status was before with all these dots. Let's hit the refresh button. Now see, like, look at all these RRRRR. These are all bad. These are all like reading requests. So the server is busy trying to read all of these different requests right now. And if I refresh the page one more time, now everything is full. RRRRR. And if I go to my host machine, so this is just a normal person trying to access the website right now. I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter right now to refresh the page, and look, it's waiting, waiting, waiting. So the page is essentially down. Like no one can access it currently. So if I just try to refresh this page, like it just sits here waiting, waiting, waiting. So how can we, and again, back here on here, all these things are full up with the R's. And when I hit refresh, it's basically down. So now if I come back to my Windows 7 machine and I hit this cancel attack and quit, and I go back to Kali Linux and let's hit refresh, now all of a sudden it's clearing everything out. Okay, notice like the request per second's going down significantly now. Okay, and I'm starting to get some dots. Remember, the more dots you have, the more open space you have. And then on this, if I hit refresh, it loads pretty much instantly. So how could we prevent that type of attack from happening in the future? Well, this is the article right here that I have on how to do that, so basically what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to block our Windows 7 machine from being able to access the server. We're just going to block all incoming connections from that. So in order to do that, we're going to have to know what the IP address is for our Linux machine. So let's come over here, or our Windows 7 machine. We're going to block our Windows 7 machine. So let's type in cmd here, cmd, and type in ipconfig. Okay, and then we get this IP address. So basically our Linux server, we need to block this address because this is the address that's attacking us, 10.7.61.122. So in order to do that, we're going to need to first create a like an IP blacklist. So we're going to go on to our Kali Linux machine, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll just minimize that because we're going to use that later. Let's open up the terminal. and we're going to type in nano/etc/apache2/ip blacklist.conf. Okay, and in this, we're going to want to write something that kind of looks like this. So we want to open up, and then we want every line to start with require not IP, and then we're going to want to enter in the IP address of our Windows server. So I'm going to move this right to our Windows 7 machine. So this is the bad IP address. This is the one that we want to block. So I'm going to come up here, require not IP 10.7.61.222. Okay, 10.7.61.222. Okay, and now I need to save this, so I'm going to hit Control O to save and hit Enter, and then Control X to go ahead and exit out of this. Excuse me. So now we need to modify our Apache configuration, and we need to basically add all this in right here. So I'm going to go back to my Kali Linux machine, and I need to type in nano/etc/apache2/apache2.conf, and it should load up something like this. This looks good. I'm actually going to add all this to the very, very bottom. So I'm going to scroll all the way down, and now I'm going to type in I'm going to basically copy and paste this. So a way that I can do that is, hold on one second, I'm going to make a tiny URL. Okay, so I just created a bit.ly address so that we can access this on our Kali Linux machine, and this will be a little bit easier. So I'm going to open up Firefox, open up a new tab, and I'm going to go to bit.ly/ and capitalization matters, Apache2 stop, and this should take us to that web page that I was on. And I can scroll down in here, blocking the IP address, and then this is what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of this right here. Let's just select all that, right click, copy, and then I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, come in here, right click, paste, and now I believe everything should be good. Alright, so notice, okay, so now we need to save this, so I hit Control O to save, then Control X to exit out, and then the last thing that I'm going to need to do here is I'm going to need to reload the Apache service. So on here I type in service Apache2 reload. Okay. Oh, whoops. So if that doesn't work, which it didn't, let's go ahead and stop the Apache2 service, and let's do this. SER via service Apache2 start. Let me figure this. Okay, so I figured out what my issue was. I apologize. Let me exit out of here. Let's go back into the sudo nano. Let's go back into the Apache2 configuration. Scroll down in here. And my issue was I had to, at the very bottom, I want to include two things. I want to add the 403 forbidden message. And then I also want to have the block IP addresses, this part. But if you remember from here, there was also this part in here, right here, the default to allow through all reverse proxies, go ahead and delete this section. So I've already deleted mine, so you want yours to look the same as mine right here. So we want to at the bottom have this include the virtual host configuration file, and then after that we do the block IP addresses. We do not include anything about that proxy stuff, and then the 403 forbidden, and then that's all good. So once you have that done, we're going to type in service Apache to restart, and it should work fine. You shouldn't get any type of error messages on there. So now that I've restarted this, I'm going to come back over here, and notice this is on just on my host machine, which has an IP address of 10.7.70.22. So this is not on my blacklist, and I hit refresh and it totally works just fine. I come over here though to my Windows 7 machine, which this IP address is on the blacklist now, and I open up Internet Explorer here really quick, and I'm going to try to go to that web page 10.7.61.155. And you'll notice it just blocks me right off the bat. So it's saying I get the HTTP 403 forbidden. So basically this is saying this machine is forbidden from accessing the web page. This machine can access the web page just fine. It's just my this Windows 7 machine that is forbidden from accessing it. Okay, so that's going to do it for this lab. Obviously, you've seen how we executed the DOS attack and then how we prevented that one IP address from accessing the server. There's a lot of variables in here. Obviously, you might even want to prevent this one thing from accessing your server at all, rather than just throwing it the 403 forbidden. But in order to do that, you would have to contact your internet service provider and have them block the IP address before it even reaches your computer. Or you can do that in some network settings, like a lot of routers and stuff. You can block the IP address from there before it even reaches the server, and that's probably a better way of configuring a server. But whatever, this is a quick fix for this. So you're going to have to take a couple screenshots. You'll have to take a screenshot of you obviously executing the attack, and then a screenshot of that 403, and hopefully everything goes well. But let me know if you have any questions, problems, or issues.